or good night, folks. I'm your host, Simon Redhand, and welcome back to Gaming Redhanded. We are 2 days away from the Way of Winter patch 1.3 dropping. The devs have been on their P's and Q's and they have dropped the full patch notes a few days ahead of time. We're going to go through these patch notes, see what the changes actually are in detail, and then they've also released another article talking about the Prism vs. Clash and their thoughts on how it played out, but we're going to go over both of those today. Alright, let's get started. So the patch itself is launching October 17th at 12 noon UTC plus 8 time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to last 4 hours. The interesting mechanics coming with the Way of Winter is they're going to be adding new survival elements. If you guys weren't following along, we're gonna have to manage your heat resistance and your cold resistance, starting with the cold on the first week and then heat on the second week. There's gonna be new recipes, new things to make. They revamped the armor system, so there's some interesting stuff coming along. I am excited to see. You're also gonna be dealing with a new revamped Vulture faction and a new main enemy. It's not gonna be Rosetta this time around, so we're gonna be seeing how this actually pans out. There's some cool imagery coming along, and all of it looks very interesting. Looks really well done so far in terms of the story and the world building, but we'll have to see in the game how it actually is implemented, right? The original map took place in Nalcott, but we'll be moving north into the Arkham region. Arkham region apparently now has 60 riddle spots, so we have the same amount of riddles as last time. 7 types. I'll be doing videos on almost all these riddle spots as I come across them to make it easier to find them. When I find them, what the rewards are, all that good stuff, you'll find it right here. So make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys hit up the vendors in town before you guys transfer over to Way of Winter, because you won't be able to have access to them or assume there will be new NPCs. So make sure you hit up Severin 7, make sure you hit up Nisa and spend up those stellar planners and buy all that stuff before you come over. There's gonna be a new story and a new task. Hopefully the story is fully voiced this time, because the voice acting kind of died out in the first one here. Here it is going through some of the details of the temperature system. The temperature system is composed of 2 major factors: temperature and resistance. Temperature is affected by the region you're in, weather, and time of day, environment, and certain items, while resistance determines how much you can withstand during extreme temperatures. The higher your resistance, the less you'll be impacted by the scorching or freezing elements in the world. There's gonna be a new wonder known as the Thermal Tower. The Thermal Tower is a huge structure that alters the temperature and environment of the area. It's kind of like our new purification chamber. The video they showed during the dev stream, they talked about the fact that we could use this new tower to kind of influence the area around our housing in terms of like what resources it can produce and things like that. We have new dynamic weather. Before we had rain, but the rain was kind of the only weather change we had. So now we're going to have more extreme weather, such as snowing and stuff like that. Apparently the changes in the weather will have a series of effect on not only us as players, but also the enemy units, the buildings and facilities. Hopefully that means more than just seeing snowfall. Maybe the enemies will change how they behave when they're extremely cold or extremely hot. Be interesting to see. The new Prime Wars, as we'll call them, are the Chaosweaver events. Anytime they show up, they're going to be doing some hazards in terms of how they infect the environment, creating blizzards and volcanic storms and stuff like that. As the phases progress, these Chaosweavers will become more and more violent, more stronger, with increased difficulty, and require more teamwork to actually defeat them and earn whatever rewards they're giving out. We don't know what they're giving out this time around. The Prime War last time was home of the Resonance mods. Hopefully there's more variety there this time around to make you really want to save your controllers for this. They went into more detail about how the seasonal phases work. There's nothing really new here. We knew before that phase 1 is 7 days, phase 2 is 8 days, phase 3 is 10 days, and phase 4 is also 10 days, and then the last phase, the settlement phase, in the last 28 days. They went in and told us in detail, however, what's actually opening up on these phases. So phase 1 will have access to probably crisis events, Hale's Moving House, and the Cargo Conquest, Securement Silos, and the Venya Ford and Onyx Tundra are accessible, which are basically the names of the 2 zones that we're going to. Phase 2 is going to give us access to the Ember Strand. It's basically the heat version of the zone, and we're going to have access to a new prize pool for the Wish Machine, Destructive Flame, Blazing Fire, and the dungeons will be available in hard mode. You'll also have access to the Chaosweavers. They're going to start showing up now in phase 2. Phase 3 pro modes are available in harder version of the Chaosweavers. And in phase 4, the Frost and Flame event, which is the most powerful Chaosweavers will be showing up, affecting the temperatures over a long range. We're not sure how any of this works here. We're not sure if any buildings involved. We're not sure if it's like tower defense. We need cannons, we need biomass missiles. None of that stuff has been outlined just yet. We have new monoliths and new silos, but we actually have less. There's only one new monolith. We don't have access to the original zone, so we don't have access to the Ravenous one. We don't have access to the Treant, Forsaken Giant, Leo Labs. All that stuff's gone now. The only monolith we have access to right now, Rift Space Secret Servitor and Rift Space Treant. So the Treant boss is back, but at different locations. So we have 2 monoliths, Secret Servitor, which is one of the Prime War bosses, and the Treant boss. which means we're net negative right now in terms of how many monoliths we have access to. Because before we had 5, now we're down to 2. Securement silos, we're also lost in securement silos. We have Silo Delta, Taurus, X1, and Psi. We don't know if they're going to be the same dungeons. I think they might be the same just because of where they're located. They might just be the same 2 dungeons in terms of X1 and Psi, but we are down also the silos. So like I said before, we lost dungeons and then they mashed the loot tables together, right? And there were some people in the comments before kind of confused, thinking that, well, that means we have access to more drops per run. No, what this means is it's loot dilution. If you have an option, if you have a 50-50 opportunity to get an item to drop, and now we introduce a 3rd item into that group, your chances from winning go from 50-50 to 33%. And that's what's happening here. When they added more loot into the tables, it didn't give you more opportunity to finish your build quicker. It just made it take longer for you to get your loot, because the bosses are still dropping the same amount of loot. So there's no details. It's a single line. They didn't talk about it in the video. There's not even a cutscene of it. There's a new challenge. We don't know what this is. Stardust Challenge, Zone of Haze. I have no idea what that means. This is just something we're gonna have to figure out when we see it in the game. The new deviations added are tar pudding, gathers fuel around the territory, increases fuel refining speed when assigned to a refining facility. Zap cam attaches to your back. When you're in OTS scope mode, it will lock onto parts of the enemy and deal damage. So that's also pretty cool. We needed some new cooler combat deviants. That's a pretty cool one. Hydronaut fish, when activated, gathers seawater from the outside your territory, occasionally yielding fish. Also increases production speed when assigned to a water filter and brewing barrel. I like this. I'll definitely be using some of those, depending on how efficient they are for brewing. If they speed up brewing a great deal, I'll definitely be using one of those. Invincible Sun. I think they had a different name. Maybe they changed it. Pretty sure it had a different name before though. Deals blaze damage to a designated target. If you're gonna be using that new fire shotgun, this might overtake the Pyro Dino. We have to wait and see. Pyro Dino has an interesting mechanic. We'll have to see if this competes for a spot. Snow Sprite continuously generates ice crystals near the target. Ice crystals shatter when shot, dealing frost damage to nearby targets. There were no ice deviants before. This is probably the only one that you can use if you're gonna use any frost vortex builds. Actually, I'm wrong about that. There was the jellyfish you got from, what's it called? The polar jelly. That was also one, but I hated the way that one worked. It was very strong, but I hated that it was locational based. Ice Pot produces ice blocks with magical adhesiveness. We have no idea why you need to produce ice blocks, so we'll see what that means. Patrols your territory, attacks suspicious targets. Its beam of lights can paralyze enemies. That's a cool effect. That's a weird name. We'll see what that does when we see it in game. They're updated seasonal tags so they're easier to understand. The seasonal tags are basically the server tags. We know it's a void balance, stuff like that, so you can know what you're getting into when you join a server, right? New prize pools. Now, we knew they were doing the prize pools. We knew what was in the prize pools, but I'm gonna go over them again real quick. Destructive Flames includes legendary weapon Pyroclasm Starter, which is the shotgun. I'm going to be buying this twice. I like shotguns. I like damage over time and elemental damage. I've been doing damage over elemental builds since the game started. I was going to do Raining Cash, but then I seen the new shotgun, and you know, Raining Cash can go back into the closet for now. We're going to pull out Pyroclasm Starter. So I'll be buying this one and doing the banner for this one. I'll get it right away. We have access to Fire Rune Boon. The Blazing Fire banner gives us Fire Rune Boots, Lone Wolf's Hood, Lone Wolf's Gloves, and Lone Wolf's Mask. I don't know if those boots are going to be better than the Hardy Gloves, which at full stacks cause an explosion that deals blaze damage at 300% psi intensity or removes all stacks. There are several burn builds that I have going on in my head right now. I'm not sure which one to go with next because there's a number of factors I got to consider. Pyroclasm Starter does something new and unique, which is basically it turns your bullets into elemental damage. So it's not so while it does burn, it also gives you burn damage on for your shot. I don't know if this burn damage can crit. I think it might be able to because it's your bullet damage, and I don't know if that bullet damage that's burning can also trigger burning on the enemy itself. So build off the burn damage in terms of building the burn stacks and blowing them up while also scaling your bullet damage that's doing elemental damage, or you can build off just the elemental damage and making it crit based. So there's two different builds we have to look at here, which will determine whether or not we use the boots or the gloves. This is all stuff that has to be done in game. I cannot theory craft blind. There are gonna be some new cradle overrides. There's no detail on what the new cradle overrides are gonna be. We just have to wait till the game starts and then figure it out. We have super anomalies. They're gonna be interspersed throughout the world. Void, regen, and phase will appear in certain combat situations. All right, so they are going to still show up. That's interesting. Now, if you guys don't remember, these mobs all required special setups to kill them. This is going to be interesting because now we have access to all of them. Actually, we're missing one of them. I think it's Coherence. So we have Regen, Void, and Phase, which I believe is you need elemental damage for regen. There's now going to be daily login rewards. So if you log in for 7 days in a row, you're going to have access to some new deviants. So what do they have here? Wishlands, Sugar, event tokens, which can be used to redeem for unique morph deviants, Shattered Maiden, Wandering Witch, Buzzy Bee, Pumpkin Lantern. Shattered Maiden is the unstable bomber demon. Buzzy Bees are, you know what Buzzy Bees are. So this would be cool. Some unique deviants. Hopefully these are available in other methods besides this login event. But, you know, log in for 7 days, you get access to it. Added 45 new songs to the radio. Great. I was actually getting tired of the ones that are on there. I only listened to the Side of Fries channel, so I was getting tired of hearing the same songs over and over again. So it's good to see that. Added hosts to the 6 stations. That's pretty cool. I like that. Hopefully they took from Grand Theft Auto with this one and, you know, got some funny hosts in there. I think that's pretty cool. Or I would actually even like if they pulled from the community and had the community members provide some of the voice acting for this. But I have a strong suspicion that the songs on the radio are AI generated. If you guys have seen Suno AI, you're able to make some crazy songs off that. Some of my songs I use in my videos are made from Suno AI and they sound very legitimate. So I wouldn't be surprised if they use an AI to make the majority of these songs. But I like it. I like more stuff, more world building. I like hosts. I think these are all fantastic things. I don't know why these deviants are not included with the deviants up top here, but there's more deviants. They've added the portal, staff badges, and the Luna Moth. Don't know what that means. Don't know why they're in their own section by themselves. It almost seems like they forgot that they added them in here and they just threw them at the bottom here in a single line. They've changed how combat deviations work. You no longer have to press and hold to get them out. They say you can just click once, it'll activate deviant quickly. They've improved the AI on some of these deviants, changed how their effects work. They've gone through and done a whole bunch of revamps to some of them. Revamped the Minifester, the Touch of Abyss combat effect. The Minifester will now follow the player, generate tentacles more frequently, and provide status damage buff. Minifeaster used to be a shrapnel, used to be a bounce demon. Deviant, and now it does status damage. Is there a new bounce deviant? Let's go. Hopefully there is, because if you actually were using bounce, even as terrible as bounce is, it does not get helped by losing the only deviant that worked for it. They've adjusted the deviant power expenditure of combat deviations to improve their effectiveness. Most deviants now have reduced deviant power expenditure when on standby or moving. Instead, deviant power will mainly be expended when the deviant attacks or uses its skills. The season shop has added seasonal loot crates with deviations exclusive to the Prison Burst Flash. They have Berserkosaurus Rex and they're in the Radiant one. All players can redeem them with Mystico's marks. That's fantastic, actually, that you can buy these shinies with Mystico's marks. I wonder how much they're going to cost. Oh, I mean, you can't go wild buying the crates to gamble for the costume if you want these deviants. Hopefully you can buy them more than once to try to get the 5/5s. They've changed how mods work. This is interesting. I'm going to read through this verbatim and then we're going to talk about it. To make collecting mods more enjoyable, the mod system has been adjusted in the update as follows. If previously using a controller in a dungeon may drop legendary weapon mods from multiple builds or armor mods for various parts, a self-selection loot crate containing these mods will now be dropped instead. For example, the Ravenous Hunter dungeon on hard mode drops burn or frost vortex mods. After this updates, a weapon mod self-selection loot crate will be dropped instead to either choose a burn or frost vortex mod. As another example, Securement Cellar X1 on hard mode drops random mask mods. After the update, 3 types of self-selection loot crates will drop instead, containing burn, power surge, or unstable bomber mods, shrapnel, bounce, and fast gunner mask mods, and frost vortex, Fortress Warfare, and Bulleye mods respectively. These changes affect monoliths, bosses on hard mode, pro mode, procurement, silo dungeons, and major phases of Leela Research Labs dungeons. Just so you guys know that even though Way of Winter doesn't have access to these dungeons, there's going to be servers who aren't running Way of Winter that these are still affect. Mod self-selection loot crates can now be redeemed in a limited quantity from the Stronghold NPC Severin. These loot crates allow you to choose weapon mods of any build or armor mod for any type. The mod obtained is guaranteed to include an epic attribute. In mod conversion feature, the target mods now unlock permanently once the conditions are met. They do not need to be unlocked again upon entering the new season. That's fucking fantastic. It was getting annoying having to go grind a dungeon just so I could merge mods together when I had 1,000 mods in my inventory. Obliterate mods have been adjusted as follows. Obliterate effects increases shrapnel damage by 15% per part hit. This damage increase is now capped at 45%. So this is a big deal. I had a great big issue. Again, in this video I talked about it. I had a big issue with them diluting the mod pool, basically, the way they added mods to certain silos. But this change here does make it much better with them dropping targeted dungeon chests. So now it is going to be better in the long run, because now you can farm a dungeon and you're still gambling your part, but it's more specific. So so while the pool did expand, it actually did get better for a different reason, because now you can just decide what you're gonna direct your controllers towards. Are you gonna get power surge mods? Are you gonna get frost vortex mods? This is fantastic, because if you're grinding mods out, this is actually great. I still don't like controllers. Hopefully, as I read along, they're going to say something in here that says, hey, we've also increased the amount of controllers that drop, so you have more than 56 a week. But this is actually very good news. I mean, I am enthused about dungeon farming again. I'm not okay with controllers yet, but I'm enthused about doing the process now. I am less upset about the changes. I'm still not okay with them reducing the number of silos and monoliths, but this is a great change. Give him props for this one. Accessory optimizations, added a control to switch between ammunition types. Thank God, because running out of bullets in a dungeon and having to open your menu and go through 4 sub menus just to switch from tungsten bullets to steel bullets was absurd. Players can now hold the reload button to quickly switch ammo types. Fixed an issue that sometimes affected serviceability and caused lag. We don't know what the hell that means. That is super vague. Does that mean we've solved lag? Does that mean I'm no longer going to infinitely reload my gun? Does that mean I'm going to be able to have a firefight and not get stuck in a loop where I keep switching between my primary and secondary? We'll find out. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else in here that really is going to matter to anyone. My thoughts so far. So far, I am excited about what's coming here. I am looking forward to the new guns for sure. Pyroclasm starter got me excited. I am looking forward to the new dungeon system. I do like the change they made. I like the change they made to the super anomalies also. I want to see what these new accessories are. But so far, they're on the right track. I'm not a fan of them reducing the amount of dungeons. I think that they should have moved the silos, or if they're not going to move the silos, at least equalize them. So the only way this is going to be equal to me in terms of like the silos they have there is if the length is longer. So if the silos are like the length of like Leo Labs now, then it's like, okay, it's fine. All right. But if they're still like very quick runs and it's just like only like 4 in the run, then that's gonna get boring very quickly. If this new Zone of Haze is a more interesting public crisis event, like the public mist event, then maybe that'll make up for it. I want to see what these Chaosweavers are about. I kind of wish they went into detail about the new recipes and stuff like that, but it's not in the notes here. They've changed how armor crafting works. They've changed memetics. They've changed a lot of features in the game that are core that have not made this note. And I've noticed it a lot, that anytime these patch notes come up, there's a lot of stuff they do change that never make this list. So when the game goes live, and I do have access to it, I will point out the things that I believe that people should know about. I will try to cover the memetics, but there's so many of them and you don't get a lot of respecs, so I don't know I'll be able to cover all the memetics. But if I find the interesting ones that I think will be useful, that I think that even without seeing the rest, that this is definitely going to be an S tier and A tier memetic, I'll try to cover it and talk about it. But it's going to be very hard, and it's going to require a community effort to figure out all the memetics and put them in a list like they did before and talk about them. A lot of the memetics have changed. So don't go in there chasing down sulfur chemists like you did last time, because there's deviants now that cover it, right? Don't go in there chasing down oil processing, things like that. You don't know how important it is to need these right now, because a lot of things have changed. They've made it. They've talked about it several times, adjusting the way of getting acid and stardust source and oil. So don't, like, while I would go in there with the thought process that we need a polluted zone and we need to know where the oil is, I wouldn't go in with the same mentality that you absolutely need sulfur chemists or you absolutely need oil processing, or if they're still in the game. But we don't know. I am looking forward to this season. I will be playing it. So yeah, so I'll see you guys on the 17th for sure. Have you guys seen the channel so far? I've been getting a lot of subscribers, a lot of new supporters right now. I've gone up. I'm almost at 1,000 subs. I'm feeling excited. I welcome all the new guys who have shown up there. I've seen you guys in the comments. I've tried to interact with you guys. I've seen some requests for certain builds and stuff like that. I might do the M416, but this season it's definitely gonna be that shotgun. Look forward to a build guide on that in the first week. I'm definitely gonna have one coming up. And then, as I said before, I'm gonna be covering all the riddle spots. I'm gonna be covering all the new controller locations. I'm gonna be definitely making a new ultimate checklist for the Way of Winter, because we're gonna need a separate one now. So, all right, guys, I got you guys covered. Have yourselves a good morning. If this is the only video you watch me today, a good afternoon or a good night. Subscribe to the channel.